Sifu taught us Kung Fu so that we could become good, righteous men. Now, we all swore together that we would defend the weak.
Computers are for nerds, but I can kill helicopters with a car.
If we ever have to avenge anyone, we're in so much trouble.
I am the most complete fighter in the world.
Yippee Kay Yay, motherfucker.
You can call it the art of fighting without fighting.
Stick around. Some motherfuckers are always trying to ice skate uphill.
Dodge this.
Welcome to episode 3 of what has to be your new favourite podcast. I don't see how anything else could be possible. It's Dodge This, an action movie podcast. And my name is Simon Fielder. I'm a human man. I'm in Amsterdam and I love action movies.
And I'm Matthew Huyton. I am also a human man, but I'm in London. But I also love action movies.
Thank God. Otherwise, this whole thing would have fallen apart.
I thought I'd do it as a good bad sandwich.
Thanks very much. And it's only taken to episode 3 for me to forget there is a time difference between us and turn up to the podcast 1 hour early. So you're welcome. If you're listening to this 1 hour early, I don't understand that sentence. Now, the year is still 2021 as we record this, and it feels fitting that right at the end, it's only episode 3, but the mighty hand of COVID has already karate chopped us in the neck. This episode was supposed to be us getting very excited about Matrix Resurrections, which comes out today, the day we're recording, Wednesday, the 22nd of December, worldwide release. However, Matthew Huyton has been quarantined due to being near a person with COVID. And the Netherlands is on a countrywide lockdown, so all of the cinemas are closed. I'm quite sad about it, and now we both have to resist watching it at home until we're allowed in a cinema.
It's brutal. It's 3 films I've been blocked from this week.
And Spider-Man.
Spider-Man and West Side Story I was going to go and watch.
Oh, that would have been a West Side Story would be a nice counterpoint to the action stuff. Regular listeners are probably on tenterhooks about whether or not we've watched Tick, Tick, Boom yet. I can say I have watched it, and I really liked it.
I can also say I watched it this week, and I really liked it. Too much action, though. Too much action.
Too much action.
Too much fighting.
Got to tone that down. It didn't need that sword fight, if I'm being honest.
It detracted from the musical.
Was very great though, and that, I mean, just, you know, it just lets people know that we both have hearts. So that's lovely, isn't it? Other than that, it's Christmas, so we're both very excited. And so in order to counter the disappointment of us not getting to see Matrix Resurrections, we've fast-tracked another movie that we were going to watch later on in the season, which is The Paper Tigers. Both very excited about that. And because it's the most wonderful time of the year, we've thrown in a little Christmas bonus. And we've both had a look at Die Hard. Because why wouldn't you? It's Christmas.
And that's as deep into that argument as we go.
But before we open up the Santa's sack, I think I might stop with the sort of Christmas stuff. I like it to make everything really Christmassy, but I'm going to run out of sort of analogies for Christmas at some point. Let's head into Santa's grotto and find out what trailers he's brought us this week.
Welcome to the party, pal!
What are we going to start with trailer-wise, Simon? Please tell me.
Well, I put this in the document quite late, so I don't know if you've seen it.
I've watched them all.
Thank God, because I didn't think he was going to be able to do it before the end of the year, but Bruce Willis has managed. He's managed to sneak. I guess he had a day free at some point, and he's snuck in another movie appearance in American Siege.
We can't be sure though that it's not just a director's cut of one of the many other films
That is true.
that has the exact same plot that he's in this year.
It could just be a deleted scene from one of the other 7 movies that they've just recut to make it look like he's in this movie.
This film, going off the trailer, should just be renamed Guns.
I couldn't tell you what it's about. It definitely has people shooting guns at a house in it. I know that.
It started feeling like it was going to be something very different, and then suddenly it's Bruce Willis, the town sheriff, who goes around to a guy's house who everyone likes in his town because he's been kidnapped for something. So they now are going to do a siege on the house by just shooting through a wooden house, which I'm no bullet expert.
There's a reason why Americans get hit worst by tornadoes, right? It's because of the wooden houses.
Yeah, there's surely some sort of fable about building your house
Out of wood.
Yeah.
And when the wolf comes and attacks it with an AK-47, you're in trouble.
That's another Bruce Willis film next year, When the Wolf Comes.
I will watch it. In fairness to us, we haven't watched any of these direct-to-video Brucey movies. Who knows? They could all
We should
be wonderful.
we should wait for them all to be on demand and do one big Bruce-a-thon.
Oh my God. It's so much. It feels like punishment. Suffice to say, Bruce is almost definitely in at least 2 scenes of this movie based on the trailer. That much we know.
I get that there's only so much you can say about a Bruce Willis trailer these days.
And that is, they've got Bruce Willis in the film for a contractually obliged amount of time. That's it. That's it. All right, let's talk about some of the stuff that maybe does look a little bit more interesting. This popped up a couple of weeks ago. Reacher, the Jack Reacher, a TV show. Finally, it's here.
I never been a Jack Reacher fan, but I quite like this trailer. I quite liked it.
In the last couple of years, I've read 2 Jack Reacher books. My dad was a big fan. I'd never looked into them. I read one, thought it was all right. And then I went back and read the first one, which it seems this show is based on. And they, they're pretty much just like action movie books, really. They're very enjoyable.
I've never got into the action movie as a book genre, but
no, fair.
I don't think I'll be reading these. So I probably will watch this series. I really like, is it Alan Ritchson is the main guy in it?
Yeah, I don't know him.
He's brilliant. He's in Titans. He plays Hawk in Titans.
Okay.
And he is great in that role. He's just really good at being that sort of oafish, muscle-bound, punch first, emotion later sort of
I'm
guy.
sort of intrigued by this show. I was a big fan of the first Reacher movie with Tom Cruise. That was before I'd read the books. And my dad couldn't stop telling me how inaccurate that was. Like, he's Tom Cruise. He's not Tom Cruise. He's this massive guy, And I was like, well, I've never read the books. I don't know. But having read the books now, I'm like, okay, Tom Cruise is not that guy. But I did very much like the first Jack Reacher movie. Second one was a bit average. But this does feel like at least his stature, size, his vibe is more in line with the books. And based on the trailer alone, it seems like it is pretty faithful to that first one. I hope it's good. I'd love it to be great.
They do look like, because I wasn't a big fan of the Jack Reacher films, but they do look like they're trying to do what they did for Bourne when they did the Matt Damon stuff, where they're trying to bring it into a new era. Just it's got that slicker look. It's got a little bit more light-hearted, I guess.
I'm worried that he does seem a little bit sort of all-American hunk in this, which is not how he is in my head. That's the problem with a book, isn't it? Like, everyone's like, well, my Jack Reacher looks like this. So,
is yours like a British gentleman when you read it?
He's wearing a bowler hat. He's got a briefcase. It's basically the Kingsman. I recast it. But I'm intrigued to watch this, and I hope it's adult and it isn't PG-13.
It does. Also, the thing I think it's going for it so far is it does look like it's aware of itself, and I think without overkilling aware of itself. So I think that's positive for it. But again, it could be absolute horseshit. We don't know.
Crossed. Fingers crossed, I'm looking forward to it. It's February. I'm definitely going to watch it. And, if it's good, they've got literally about 22 more seasons easily lined up. Okay, next. This one I hadn't heard anything about and came across the trailer for The 355.
Yeah, I saw this trailer about 2 months ago, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, it's again, it's an interesting one because there's something about an action film where there's no genre to it now that makes you go, oh, what's this? Like, no genre, sorry, no series already in play. Because everything feels like it's a reboot or a remake.
Like it's an IP, and you're like, I've got nothing going in.
Because I think this premise is great. Like, it talks about in the trailer there being an old assassin back in the honky tonk times. What's the old piano times? I don't know, the American eras.
I'm pretty sure they called them the honky tonk times. That was
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
And then this legacy of female assassins who team up, who are international. It's a classic start to an action film.
It sounds all right, doesn't it? In terms of like it is good. It's an IP. It's like a new IP, right? It's not a fucking sequel. It's not based on a comic book. So like points for it being a new thing. It's an I guess the easy shorthand is it's like a new Charlie's Angels, right? But without the kind of like arch tone and comedy, like a sort of serious but slick load of hard women with each a unique set of skills.
To really date my references, it feels like the S Club Juniors of S Club. I don't know what I'm going with there.
Well, not even S Club Juniors.
Yeah, no, because
even though they're all grown.
S Club would be the Charlie's Angels.
Oh, I see.
So they would be
It's the next generation.
Yeah.
I feel like we've done this a disservice. It looks like it could be interesting.
I think it's going to be the cast is very good.
Good cast. Trailer is very slick, ticks all the boxes, which kind of gives you nothing. Like in terms of like the
that's
tone
what
of
I
the
was going to
movie,
say.
The direction, like I actually don't know who directed it. So
I generally get the feeling with a film, if it doesn't give you too much of the film, it's probably going to be a good film. Whereas I think films that give you everything are like, this is all I've got.
Right. Yeah, you've seen all the good stuff.
Yeah. Whereas this is holding back. So I think it potentially could be great. But yeah, we just don't know, do we?
We just don't know. We'll see next year. Okay, I'm going to end. I've saved the best till
on the
last
big one.
Because, oh my God, this sort of blew up on Twitter this week in the sort of realms of, I'm going to call it action Twitter because that's how it refers to itself, like a group of probably just about 20 people who are like really balls deep into action cinema and surface this kind of incredible stuff. And it is a world that I know nothing about, but I'm getting into as soon as possible. And that is Bollywood, Indian, Telugu cinema. The trailer is for RRR, which I didn't write down what it stands for.
Really raucous.
Raction.
Yeah.
So this is basically like an uber action drama epic from a well-known Indian director who has made like a few of these sort of huge, big budget things in the past. And I mean, I'd seen a bit of this before, but the full trailer is, it just blew my mind.
It's incredible. It's absolutely incredible. It's got.
Please tell me everything you felt while watching this trailer, Matthew.
I couldn't keep up with this trailer. I felt like, do you know what it felt like? It felt like watching Kung Fury for the first time. There's so much going on to it, and it's so like obscenely in your face, unrealistic. But yet it somehow feels like, oh yeah, maybe it is grounded. Like it's
I think there is no danger of it being grounded.
But you know what I mean? Like it feels like it's got its own laws, its own rhythms to it. Like
yes.
In terms of they have thought this through. I mean, there's a bit where very Kung Fury style where he just with his foot flips a motorbike over, which is very much like the police car in that early Kung Fu tray. Yeah. But I mean, there's so much going on.
It looks like $1 trillion.
Yeah.
It's like every single rupee of the budget is on screen. It looks insane. It's like a movie from like the 1930s if it had all of today's technology. Like heroes, you know, like movie stars doing movie star stuff.
Yeah. There's a I think it's about 2 seconds long. So the thing I'll give this trailer, and I assume this film, is they take a premise and they take it to the extreme. So there's a bit with a train where it looks like there's a big train explosion, and then they're swinging off a bridge, grabbing hands. But then there's a quick shot where a train's on fire underwater, and two people are walking towards each other on the bed of the water trying to fight. And that was when I was like,
I'm on board.
There's absolutely no way I'm never watching this film. It was so good. So good.
I'm watching this the day it comes out. I suspect, and this is something, having not really delved into the sort of Indian subcontinent cinematic universe, as it shall never again be known. Somebody, you know, in the kind of furore about this on Twitter, there were other people going, okay, this is insane. Where do I start with this? And there are a few recommendations of films like watch these to get an idea of like what this landscape is. So I'm going to have a look at some of those movies so that going into this, I kind of know this is what you can expect from these movies. Like there's definitely going to be singing and dancing in it, right? We know this. That's something I'm not familiar with in movies. I'd like to see how that sits.
But I mean, it's been a thing for about at least 5 years in the sort of wider mainstream thing where everyone's become aware of those big budget Indian blockbusters where they rip off like Transformers and stuff like that.
Right.
And their action scenes are incredible, but they are so complicated and so over the top.
Insane.
Yeah. It's like just mind blowing how much they put into like
There's so much slow-mo in this trailer. It's incredible. Like you could just take stills from it and be like, it looks like a painting. It looks like it just looks amazing. We're definitely gonna. It's on the list for next year for sure.
I'd love to see if there's any other recent ones out that we can dive into as well.
Yes, there is one that I have been recommended called War, which is like a modern day cops and robbers type action movie, which is on Amazon Prime US, which I will be watching shortly. If you would like to join me in that,
I will watch
that. Could be our gateway.
I think this genre is going to change me forever.
I'm ready for it. It looks amazing. All right. The only other thing was Expendables 4 is being made, and Statham's been posting stuff on his socials with like pictures of him and the gang, and like Iko Uwais from the Raid and stuff. He's in it.
Ooh.
I mean, everyone is in it basically.
They do get. I think they get better, the Expendable films.
I haven't seen Expendables 3 because I thought they were sort of diminishing returns from the beginning, like not the sum of their parts. Maybe I need to change my attitude going in.
It's just a lot of fun, isn't it? It's a lot of fun.
Maybe once I get into Bollywood cinema, I can approach Western action movies with just like a more chill attitude, you know, and just enjoy them for what they are and stop being such an old grumpus about it. It's the time of the year, though, isn't it? Speaking of which, Matthew.
Speaking of which.
It's the time of the year for a Christmas movie. Before we get to our feature presentation, let's have a little Christmas, I'm going to say it, Brucey bonus, alienated everyone who's not English from this part of the podcast. Not going to explain what a Brucey bonus is, but it does seem like a smashing way to introduce Die Hard.
Now I have a machine gun. Ho, ho, ho.
Welcome to the party, friend.
The English version of Die Hard. I rewatched it this week.
So did I, but completely coincidental, wasn't it, that we both watched it?
Yeah. My girlfriend had never seen it and doesn't really like action movies or any movie that has any amount of tension or stress in it. So I managed to twist her arm to sit near me while I was watching it, and she sort of dipped in and out, and any time it got a bit too shooty or bloody, she sort of went and did something else. I think it's just still bloody great.
Me too.
I don't really have anything bad to say about it, and I know that's not what the podcast is about. We're here to celebrate it, but like, I've got so many good things to say about Die Hard.
Do you know what? I rewatched it. The one thing that stood out for me was it's a really simple story contained well, and that's why it works. It's the most sort of basic. Here's a setup. Here's some conflict to break it. Here's some a cog in the machine in the form of Bruce Willis, and here's how it's going to play out. And that it's just delightful to watch it unfold. Yeah,
it is. I think in terms of like screenplay, it could be sort of, I'm going to say studied, but I don't mean because it's like, oh, it's the Goodfellas of its generation or whatever. But just in terms of like mechanics of a screenplay, it just like, it lays it out. It sets up all the things. It ticks like all the boxes that you need to do. Like it gets you involved in all the characters. Almost every character in it, no matter how minor, like has a defining moment. And within like the first minute of the film, it's like when people talk about the first episode of Friends, where you know almost everything about each character within like their first two lines. And it's Die Hard does the same thing, you know. He's on the plane.
100%.
You see he's a gun. He has a gun. He says he's a cop. He's got a thing for his wife. Like, he says something that suggests their relationships is on the rocks. You get so much info so succinctly.
Yeah, it does. It's the best thing that a film can do is plonk you in the middle slice of a cake. Sort of, there's been a whole cake before it. There'll be some cake after it, but it's all there. And
Please extend this cake analogy.
It's a good cake. I don't know why I chose cake, but it's a good cake. It's amazing. There are things like I love this style of action film. There's a real thing in action films, certainly, and quite a bit in sci-fi as well, which is new technology bad, smash smash good. Like, I think this does it. The Die Hard series certainly gets worse for it down the line, but there is that certain thing about can a man not be a man if he can't just smash bad technology? Like, there's always something about like something innately bad about the world, how it is at the time of filming versus how it was.
Interesting.
Where it is. I think Die Hard's one of the earliest of those. I really love it. It's only in little bits.
That must have peaked in Die Hard 4.0 or Live Free and Die Hard, which was about like viruses, and it was so techie computery, right?
Yeah.
I don't think we can acknowledge Die Hard 4 as part of canon, frankly.
Yeah, to be fair. But Die Hard 1 is really techie for its time. Like, the Nakatomi Plaza is the most high-tech building going.
I know. And so few things in the movie date it.
Yeah.
And then there's just a couple of, like when he first walks into Nakatomi and he's like, just type in your wife's name. And Bruce Willis has this look on his face that's like, I guess we're living in the future. And then it looks like a high score table from a Nintendo Entertainment System where he has to like type in his wife's name
On MS-DOS or something.
Yeah, and all the hacking takes place, on like the Matrix style, black background, green text, sort of 1980s computers. But aside from that, like, it just doesn't really feel dated. So much of it actually made me think of like how action movies have changed. Like in those first sort of 20 minutes, there's so many long shots. Like, there's just so much less cutting. There's like the cinematography just goes from like a really great shot, the camera moves to another really great shot, they pull focus to something else. Like, it doesn't just go like cut, 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 cut. It's like we just follow something, or we like focus on one thing. It's so well cinematographed.
This is people will turn their nose up at this, but I do think Die Hard, as much as it's an action film, it's also a really good character piece. Like you said, every character feels very well rounded, and it is that sort of conflict of like people. Like if you there's parts of you that root for Alan Rickman because he's so charismatic. And
yeah,
like,
he's too good. He's too good a baddie.
But that's what I mean. Like you really feel for everyone. Like when the classic hands, booby.
Sure.
It's like, yeah, absolutely, shoot this guy. Shoot this shippy.
Great character.
Yeah.
Delighted at his death. I think it's okay to do spoilers, right? 23 years after the movie came out. Okay.
Yeah.
But like his wife in this, I think she's a great character. Like, doesn't have loads to do, but like you get the beats of the character really quickly.
But even then, like, as much as it is like that sort of it's the 80s, we've got one woman in this film and she's a wife, at least she does get moments of like showing leadership and taking charge, like the old like just trying to get people to the bathroom and stuff. You see that she's an assertive person and stuff like that. Just doesn't go shooty bang bang. Which
and
is
a good actor as well. Like, this is something that I guess maybe you do see it more in the kind of huge like Marvel movies, where they're like, who are they going to get now? Like, which fated actor will play so and so? But all of the roles are played by good actors doing good acting. So even the cheesiest shit like doesn't feel too bad. Yeah, I will say it does have quite a lot of inept cops.
Yeah, there is a real like the guy who takes over the operation and like has a go at Powell. It is like, what are you doing? But that very much feels like a mechanism, because what they're very good at is setting things that will pay off, like the foot thing with the glass, wiggle your toes, he goes off. They're very good at removing people from situations to make sure it feels quite organic about how they move in this contained space. So they have to obviously keep the police out of the building, otherwise it's going to become this big shoot up. So they do that in a very good way by making them absolutely gung ho.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And so inept. Like, apart from the his counterpart or his love interest, some might argue, in this movie, who the cop whose name I'm sorry, I've forgotten. Powell.
Yeah.
Some people could argue that this is actually a love story about him and Bruce Willis, right? You know, they come out, they embrace.
Hey, cowboy. Yeah.
Even at the end,
it's great.
He says to his wife, "You got yourself a great guy there," or something like that. It's amazing.
But again, there's a weird thing with Powell. Like, you say it hasn't aged well, but there is that very American thing where Powell's redemption arc is, his whole thing is at the end, he's healed because he can kill again.
Yeah, they do gloss over or the fact that he just goes, they're like joking, "I shot a kid." It's like, whoa.
yeah.
Okay, that sort of thing is not going to fly anymore. Equally, Bruce Willis having a gun on a plane and then immediately smoking in an airport in like the first 2 minutes. It's so pre 9/11.
Before we move on from this, something about, compared to what we're talking about Bruce Willis now, what I love about this is Bruce Willis, he's still got a twinkle in his eye. He's still really cheeky with it. Like, everything's played with a sort of grin and stuff like that. And he's really sort of, even when he's in the shit, he's still got that little wink and a smile and a little joke and stuff. I really like that sort of, he may as well be called John Everyman.
Right. Yeah. Well, I mean, he basically, the screenwriters, this movie introduced this genre of like the everyman, right? Before this, it was Rambo, it was Schwarzenegger's Commando, it was like these huge, like buff sort of meathead bodybuilders, and this was the first regular guy in an escalating situation.
Yeah, it's great. I think it definitely has, like, there's certain moments in action that change the genre forever, and I think Die Hard's one of them. I think it pretty much stays that way, and everyone tries to recapture this until they have that massive shift around the Bourne era, where it suddenly becomes more about realism, and you get all the Bond stuff come through, where it's less about the guy and more about the situation, which I think is directly to do with that boom in Hong Kong cinema in the 90s, where you got all that Jackie Chan stuff, where you got everything, like we've talked about before, everything is suddenly, the scenery is suddenly part of the action and stuff like that. So the set pieces suddenly become, how would this person react in this thing? And stuff like that. And it becomes more gritty and realistic. But from about Die Hard through till then, there is that sort of, you watch action just get glossier and glossier for a while. You come out of that sort of Schwarzenegger era, which, there is an end of an era. That sort of, what they call the cafes they all bought, the Hollywood...
Planet Hollywood.
There is definitely a golden era of action. I think it is that Planet Hollywood era. I think they sort of perfected an action genre that can't exist anymore. Because, in a very cheesy... For good reasons as well, men can't be that sort of men anymore. Like, we've evolved beyond it. But there is this golden era of, what I like to call smashy, smashy, bang, bang.
the caveman action movie.
And it's always really simple stories, like Commando, like you mentioned. Like, how can we create a story where this hulk of a man
just gets to kill 200 people?
Exactly. Oh, they take his daughter. Great. Sure. How are we going to represent what he is at the beginning? He's going to come out shirtless carrying a log. Okay, we understand everything we need to know about that character.
Well, Die Hard at least like opened up the window to like, what new settings can we have for action movies? And then every movie for the next 10 years was Die Hard on a, Die Hard in a, Die Hard on a bus, Die Hard on a boat, Die Hard on a train.
But weirdly, famously, I know Die Hard 3 certainly isn't, but I think Die Hard 2 wasn't as well. The scripts of Die Hard 2 and 3 weren't supposed to be Die Hard films. They just loved the character of John McClane and retrofitted it.
Yeah, definitely the third one. Yeah,
that was a Lethal Weapon script, I think, originally.
I think it was a movie called Simon Says. I don't know who wrote it or what it was for. That's a true story, because the character's called Simon, right? The Jeremy Irons character is called Simon.
Oh.
So they retrofitted it.
I've not watched Avengers for years.
It irked me at the time because I was such a big fan of the first two. And it makes sense now that, like, he can't just be in another confined space. Like, we just have to put the character somewhere else. But I always felt like it's not a real Die Hard movie if it's just him running around New York and now he's got like a sidekick partner sort of character. I think I need to revisit it because people do like it.
It's the second best Die Hard film.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Over Die Hard 2, you think?
I think I'm not a massive fan of Die Hard 2. It's got its moments.
I saw Die Hard 2 in the cinema. That has aged me.
Did they have gas lamps still?
Yeah, there was an intermission and someone came around with sweets and stuff. Maybe I need to go back and watch Die Hard 2 now, having just watched the first one, and then I'll watch Vengeance, and then maybe I'll change my tune and stop being such a Christmas grumpus about it.
I want to hear when you've watched it. In future episodes, I think we all want to know what you think of.
Whatever happens, I will stop watching Die Hard movies after Die Hard with a Vengeance.
There was a great thing where, Google this, a guy took out an ad in the Hollywood Reporter, which was, he paid for a whole page, I think it was, and it was just his pitch for a new Die Hard movie because he wanted to reinvent Die Hard.
I vaguely remember that, yeah.
I thought the pitch was brilliant. It was to do with Die Hard 1. John McClane had gone to prison for his actions at the Nakatomi Plaza years later. So he'd been like held out of court and stuff. So he was in prison, and whilst he was in prison, some big criminal was plotting something huge. So the prison basically turns into a riot. And
it's Die Hard in a prison.
It's Die Hard in a prison. This prison's trying to get out. So the police can't get in because it's in lockdown, but they have one guy on the inside, John McClane. And I thought it was the best place to put an old John McClane.
That is actually a pretty good pitch. I'm open to it.
Instead of, computers are for nerds, but I can kill helicopters with a car.
Yeah, I didn't hate Die Hard 4, but I have not watched Die Hard 5, and I suspect it will remain that way. All right, I think we can both agree Die Hard is one of the best action films of all time.
Yeah, sold.
And case closed. With that in mind, that was like, I suppose it's like a double bill, isn't it? It is like the old days movies where you could watch two movies in one sitting. I don't know. That's never happened in my lifetime, but apparently it was a thing.
You could still do that.
Impossible! All right, in that case, let's go past all the tinsel and the Christmas trees and lights, because I'm still making this podcast really topical for no reason. Let's head into the main screen for a feature presentation.
And now, our feature presentation.
Dodge this.
All right, here we go. The Paper Tigers. Now, this is one I've been excited about seeing for a while. I'm glad we actually squeezed it into 2021 because it officially came out about midway through this year. Matthew, why don't you sum up this movie a little bit for us?
Paper Tigers is essentially, if you take the starting point of a lot of 90s American kung fu films where old kung fu master, karate master, sensei trains kids, but then cut to 30 years later where they're all normal blokes. And that is essentially the thing. That's
the plot, isn't it?
It's a legacy film without the whole sort of, we're paying back to a film that existed 30 years ago.
Yes.
It's great.
I suppose you could say it's in the realm of the show Cobra Kai.
I was going to talk about this later, and we will get into that because, it is Cobra Kai without all the nostalgia wrapped up and done in about 100 minutes.
Yeah, that's it. It's three kung fu masters who were absolute ninjas when they were in their 20s, now in their 40s, forced to dig deep and see if they still have those kung fu skills.
Yeah. It's weird because it's definitely an action comedy. And I think what was weird about this film was it doesn't fall down on either side too heavily. It's never fully comedy. It's never fully action. And I think that was the weird thing watching it because it took me a while to understand where this film lied.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed it.
I enjoyed it. And I think if you haven't seen it yet, this is a good time to adjust your sort of barometer of expectations going in. Because I think I went in slightly too hopeful that it was going to be a great action movie. And what it is a nice indie movie that features some well choreographed action and a few lols.
Yeah. I think that was like, because I don't want to get down on this film because I really enjoyed it and I think it's a lovely film, but you can definitely feel it's constrained by its budget, which I think we looked this up. It's the consensus on the internet is about $1 million, which is very low for an action film. But I think it does suffer in some ways because when they do the fight scenes, they've got people who are very good at fighting, but you don't see enough fighting.
I know. I want to sort of come at this from a very like reverential place. I think they've made a really nice movie for so little money, and it is basically like a love letter to all those movies that we watched growing up. I just wanted to see more of the fights because they have got great people in. You're right. You know, they've got like Andy Lee and Marshall Club and people who like, they'll be like, the fight's about to start. He'll do like a triple flip and you're like, this is going to be fucking amazing. And then it just doesn't quite deliver on the sort of potential of the people involved in it, I think.
And that's the thing. Whenever it gets into into conflict, like you want to see these three old guys fuck someone up. Like you want them to still be badass because there's a beautiful bit at the beginning where they montage through their teen years using like camcorders, like it's written like 90s video style.
Yeah, I loved that.
Apparently, I don't know if this is true. I only read it briefly, but apparently they made that a few years before the film, and that's what sold the film.
Yeah, because there was a Kickstarter, basically.
Yeah.
So some of that footage was used to drum up interest. And I loved that footage.
That footage is brilliant. Like that whole thing about... There's something about this film that it's nostalgic in terms of the films we watch, but I think it's also nostalgic in terms of it captures something about being a teenager. And like, I'm not going to lie, I never did martial arts. I never had a weird janitor in my building that...
We are so unqualified to do this podcast.
Jamie, but do you know what I mean? Like, there's something about how it captures the idea of when you're a teenager and how you can be so focused on this sort of lifestyle that is never going to translate as you get older, which is interesting about the quote unquote, I'm not going to call him a villain, but the nemesis from their teens, Carter.
Yeah.
He, as a character in this film, without spoiling it, he lives that life and grows into exactly what you think that person would grow into. Whereas the main three, these three tigers, these prodigies, who this sensei with his only students, and everyone's jealous because he picked them and they were the best. So they grow to be really normal guys.
Yeah.
One who uses a Bluetooth headset from about 25 years ago. But like, there is something about that idea that when you're a teenager, you know, if you're into this martial arts, it is your whole life and it's this thing and it's all like, you know, the adrenaline of it all and all. And watching that get dumped out of it is a really interesting starting point. And then having sort of them repair old friendships and stuff like that. And a little bit of like why they didn't speak for years, which wasn't that big a deal.
No, it was sort of touched on, but it does reflect so well that, you know, when you're a teenager in your early 20s, you're like, I am going to do martial arts for my whole life. And you can kind of translate that to like whatever we were both doing in our early 20s. And maybe we are part of that 1% that is still clinging on somehow to like doing that dumb shit that we were doing.
In an awful middle bit where I'm too old for a janitor to take me on. But I'm too young to teach a kid.
We're basically stuck doing this sort of like hashtag creative life shit for the rest of our lives, mainly because we're not qualified to do anything else. That we don't even have martial arts to fall back on. Like if I don't know who our sensei is, but if we ever have to avenge anyone, we're in so much trouble.
I mean, if we do, mine's going to be a few tweets and a sternly worded letter.
Oh, we are going to rib that guy on social media. But it is reflective of that, like, you know, just middle-agedness that these guys who are absolute hard asses in their 20s have grown up to be dads working in middle management and driving estate cars, etc.
Which, circling back to Cobra Kai, is exactly what Cobra Kai became. And I think, unfortunately for this film, it's probably suffered because it probably was in production before Cobra Kai got big. And Cobra Kai does that so well. Like, I am a huge Cobra Kai fan. I think that whole show is so balanced as a sort of love letter to what it was, as a new thing, as a sort of bridge between the generation now and the generation then. It does it so well. And the action, the final episode in season 2 of Cobra Kai, the action scene in that is some of the best martial arts I've ever seen on TV.
Really?
Yeah.
I watched the first 2 or 3 episodes of Cobra Kai because people kept saying, oh, it's for you. It's exactly for you. And it didn't grab me enough.
It gets better. So I was like that. So I watched it when it was on YouTube Red. When sort of Netflix get involved and the budget amps up and they sort of fall into what they know they are, it really finds its feet. Okay. And I think season 1 is great and it gets better, but season 2 is honestly, if nothing else, push through to the final episode of season 2.
Put the work in.
Honestly, the action scene is just great. And again, it's that whole thing about exactly what Paper Tigers had, what we're saying then. That whole thing that when you're a teenager, this feels like the most important thing ever. But as an adult, it clearly isn't. Like, you don't need to have a gang war or something like that.
Right.
You know, they say it isn't going to ruin your life if you don't meet someone to fight them on a pier. Like, that sort of thing.
I feel like West Side Story might suffer equally in this sort of grown-up situation, mate.
Oh, no. But you know what I mean?
I'm going to dive into Cobra Kai again. I feel like maybe I need to revisit it. Maybe I need to stick with it a little bit more because The Karate Kid was one of my favorite movies. As a teenager, I watched that movie so many times. And if I ever see the end of it, I cannot hold the tears back. It's it opens up a part of me that I just don't often find, Matthew. But yeah, I got it didn't grip me enough, and then I didn't stick with it. So maybe Die Hard with a Vengeance, I need to revisit it in the face of public opinion that is the opposite to mine.
Yeah, it did. I tell you what, watching Paper Tigers it is such a love letter to. I think people should watch it if they liked the sort of Karate Kid films in the 90s, like we were talking about earlier. Because that Hong Kong cinema wave, when Jackie Chan sort of pushed over to sort of the West, and we got all Rush Hour and stuff in the mid-90s and things like that coming over and becoming really big, there was that wave of like coming off the back of the Karate Kid and stuff like that. And you had things like this film made me remember Three Ninjas.
Yes. Three Ninjas, like Surf Ninjas, Warriors of Virtue.
Oh, wow, yeah.
Do you remember that one?
I remember
they
the
were
cover
kangaroos.
Yeah, something like that.
It did put me in mind of that kind of movie.
But you forget how big this sort of... Because like everyone thinks of that sort of wave in the 70s after Bruce Lee becomes big. But there was such a wave of it in the 90s as well, you know, culminated in like the Wu-Tang Clan and stuff like that starting to get involved in
right, having their own video game out where it's a fighting game.
You forget how much like that sort of permeated through the action sort of genre or action scene in that time. But you do forget that sort of story, there's so many versions of it. I think largely because the Karate Kid did it so well, of child who has no experience is taught X martial art because of this thing. And yeah, like it makes sense now why we're seeing films like this in Cobra Kai, because all the people who are in them are at that age in their life.
It's literally, we are the exact target demographic for this movie, right?
But that's the thing, isn't there? There is that sort of like after the credits roll thing that I'm really glad they set this film as that, because there is that like, what happens if you are really good at like martial arts? Then what? Like, then what? If unless you go to sort of tournaments and stuff like that, and they address this in the film about like why they don't become X, Y, Z. But yeah, I mean, like, what happens once you've defeated the bullies, but you're still shit hot at martial arts? Do you become a thing? There's a really good thing in Cobra Kai, not to keep going back to it, but to spoil it. There's a whole internet theory before Cobra Kai about how Daniel LaRusso is actually the bully, and actually he's the top. And they address that in it and stuff, and it's all about that perspective and stuff like that. I think there's probably going to be a little wave of this sort of film.
I'm here for it. You know, I got plenty of time for looking back with sort of rose-tinted specs on that era. And I think they did a great job. And I think we touched on it so briefly, but like with a budget of $1 million.
Yeah.
You know, we talked about One Shot having a budget of sub $5 million. But to pull it off with 1 million, I think is very impressive. Like, it looks really nice. Like, it's shot nicely. It ticks all the boxes in terms of like that. It has a low budget sheen to it.
Exactly what I was going to say. Just because me and you are kind of big fans of cameras and all the nerdy side of this. But they did have that sort of DSLR look where they've got some fast lenses, so they had a low depth of field, and stuff like that. And it is that sort of real indie feel to it, and they've just colored it nice. But it's one of those films that it knows what it is. I think I would have loved. I don't think they build up this sort of resurgence to them rekindling their childhood, and I would have just loved to see that pay off bigger in a sort of like huge action scene. But obviously, they can't do that to budget and stuff like that.
That's where you see the budget restrictions a little bit, isn't it? That you're like, okay, the final fight.
Yeah.
Here we go. And it's like,
Yeah.
Oh, I could have watched that for twice as long.
Yeah. I would love to see, because something they didn't like, they have a really good reason for them coming back and stuff like that, but the stakes are never high. And I think if they raise those stakes a bit and made it suddenly like go from comedic, we're good at this, to something like, oh, this is quite dangerous, that would be great. But I would love to see this as a jumping point. Like, I would like to see those three characters in a film with a bigger budget.
Yeah. And I think, and I've seen a lot of people say the same thing online, we would all like to see the three characters in their 20s, like the prequel, you know?
100%.
When they were at their peak in the sort of that VHS era. We want to see that movie when they're all absolute badasses.
I don't know if it's the same jacket, but one little detail I really loved, when the main character turns up for his final fight, he's wearing the denim jacket that he clearly wore as a kid in the 90s. And I love that, because one thing I like about what they do with these characters, there's a real thing when you get older, when you see your friends in childhood, how you regress into certain patterns. And I think they allow them to regress without fully losing their adult selves. And I really like that. Like, they've escaped all this life, they've moved on, but when they're together, he's still Danny Eight Hands and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that they all call each other those nicknames from when they were kids.
You can always tell how old a friend is. Like, if you're calling them like Michael, you're like, oh, he's from work. But if you call them like Spud or something like that,
right?
Spud
like
Pants.
All my friends from school, we all still call each other by our surnames, because we went to that kind of old-fashioned school where I was called Fielder until I was 15.
Oh, I got Shites for a while.
Matthew Shighton.
Shites, yeah.
Oh no.
Good times.
Yeah, I think like there's so much good stuff we can say about this movie. And you know, like we said about One Shot, the budget restrictions, I'm sure the makers of this movie would have equally loved the final fight to be twice as long and twice as big and happen in the rain and this, that, and the other. So I think the fact that they've pulled that together, and they've pulled in some really nice talent, and there's, you know, nods to, as we said before, like Marshall Club on YouTube.
The villain in it, I can't remember what he's called. Oh, when he is training, I would love to see that guy.
Yeah,
he
was the fight coordinator, I think.
Oh,
so,
really?
Yeah, I would have loved to like see him go toe to toe with one of the guys from Marshall Club that are in that swimming pool fight. Like, clearly incredible performers.
Yeah.
But they're just, because it was always like the old guys versus the new guys, and what I don't know is how trained the quote unquote old guys are in martial arts. Like, I couldn't really find if they are, or if they've been in other action stuff. I saw that Michael Shannon Jenkins was in one of the Undisputed movies, the Scott Adkins
your fave
quadrilogy that we've touched upon before. But I don't know what he played, or if he was in a big fight, because he doesn't really sort of get to unleash much apart from like a couple of sort of locks and holds from his MMA type business.
Yeah. Here's my sorry, I drifted off there. I've got a pitch for Paper Tigers 2.
Are you going to take out a full page ad in the Hollywood Reporter?
Yeah, I am. I think the next one should be harking back to their teen years, something that happened in their teen years affects them now, but they have to train a new generation.
Here we go. It's the next Karate Kid, is what
It's
you've
Cobra
pitched.
Kai. It's basically.
It's got Will Smith's kid, and they get Jackie Chan to play the Mr. Miyagi role.
They team up with Carter. It's going to be great.
Yeah, we do have to give a shout out to the guy who plays Carter in the.
The adult Carter is
Matthew Page.
Yeah, it looks like he's having a lot of fun.
It does.
I really like that.
Again, I was like, is he a real martial artist?
He's
pretty
massive.
hench in it. Yeah,
He's massive.
Turns out he plays a dojo leader, a guy who runs a dojo and does a fake martial art in a very popular YouTube series. Don't know if he has any actual training in martial arts. Did we not deep dive
Sometimes
on Google to find this out?
Best martial arts is where you don't martial arts.
Okay.
The art of fighting without fighting, I believe Bruce Lee called it.
I believe he did in the theme tune to this very podcast, Matthew. But he is very funny. And there are some like really solid lols in this movie. In that sort of, well, I've called them lols, so that's immediately undermines all my credibility. But like in that, what I would say is a sort of Judd Apatow mold, like little bantery bits between the characters that really kind of sell it very nicely. And I would have loved more of that on top of more of the fighting.
Yeah.
I would have loved them to go a bit harder on that. It's so difficult to have it be like, it's a serious movie about avenging their teacher, plus like, hey, we're laughing about being middle-aged, plus like we're having really serious fights. So I think, as is often the problem with something that straddles genres, it sort of dips its toes into comedy and it dips its toes into action, and it never quite commits fully to either one. But as a whole, it's a nice watch.
Yeah, I think we promised ourselves when we started this podcast that we want to be positive about films, and I think the great thing about this is it's really easy to be positive about it. I think that's something people say or often forget is when you've got a budget constraint and you make something like this, you're already ahead of a lot of what Hollywood's doing. Like the fact that you can hone in and do that on such a limited amount of money is incredible.
Yeah.
And again, like this is why I really root for these sort of indie films to get recognition, get picked up. So maybe you can then see what's going to happen in a bigger sort of way. Exactly as I found out this week when I discovered Kung Fury 2 is coming out.
That's insane. I know. I can't wait. I can't wait for us to get into that. But you are absolutely right. Like, and fair play to the people who put this together for sort of sticking to their guns and doing it on their own terms. They had a Kickstarter to raise money. They got together that $1 million budget. And according to their Wikipedia page, and I haven't clicked on all of the cited sources to check them because we are bad journalists, it turns out. But they did have offers from quote unquote Hollywood producers. Who knows what that really amounts to? But it said that they were offered more money, and this makes it. I don't want to necessarily end here, but it could be the perfect end. It says, and suggested a white lead character to be played by Bruce Willis.
Is that really on the Wikipedia?
That's what it says. I haven't clicked through to see where that quote comes from.
It feels real, and that is the perfect symmetry for an ending, I think.
I'm so glad that they didn't cast Bruce Willis in this and that they did it on their own terms and they cast all the people they wanted and some awesome martial artists in it. I'd say I recommend seeing Paper Tigers. Go in the right mind frame, and I hope we've put you in the exact right place to watch it now.
Yeah.
Just don't expect it to be Raging Fire, and I think you'll be all set.
I couldn't say it better myself, Simon. Happy to close there.
Amazing. This wraps up what some people are going to be calling episode 3 in the future.
And others are going to be calling us having a midlife crisis at the end of an episode.
Make this whole podcast is a midlife crisis. Who are we trying to kid? They say that one of the toughest hurdles making a podcast is making it to episode 7. So we've actually got quite a long way to go. But we've done episode 3. We've got to episode 3. And I think so far, where they've been on time, they're every 2 weeks. I don't know what it says in your podcast player.
Hopefully we'll be able to see The Matrix before the next 2 or 3. Yeah.
I want to see it in the cinema, but it's going to be so hard to see all of the stuff across all social media from everyone who's had access to a cinema or has watched it at home.
We got to wrap it up, Simon.
I know. Okay. You can tell us your thoughts about the new Matrix or your thoughts about this show or any of the movies that we've covered so far. You can find Matt on Twitter at Matthew Heighton.
Matt Heighton.
God damn it. I'll work it out by episode 7 and all the other socials. I'm at Simon Fielder. I feel like we should say, if you've enjoyed this podcast, please rate it and review it. But after the podcast, a little thing plays where I say that. So probably don't need to say it.
Double thing. Yeah, just have a lovely old time, or whatever time of year you're listening to this podcast. And also, if you do go out and watch a film because you saw us mention it, please let us know, because that would be the greatest honor.
Yeah, 100% actually. I would love people to let us know if they've discovered these films because of the podcast. I mean, that is literally the idea of the podcast. All right, well, we've witted on long enough. We will see you in 2 weeks' time. Enjoy whatever time of the year that it is. I hope your requisite festive season was good.
End sting.
See you next time.
Bye.